Hi, my name is Sage Mountainflower. I'm from Okewinge, Taos Pueblo, and Dene, and I live in Okewinge. I grew up in Okewinge, but I'm also a resident in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm an indigenous fashion designer, so we are here in what I call the House of Fashion in Okewinge. And I've been creating traditional clothing to contemporary clothing for the last 30 years. I really got it started when I had kids. As they were growing up, but they wanted to participate in our traditional dances and in the powwow circuit. At that time, I couldn't afford to buy stuff, so I just started self-taught myself how to sew. I already knew how to have some beadwork skills because I had watched my mom and my aunties. I think inspirations, influences, of course, my parents. My parents were both artists. My dad was an activist, and he was a painter, he was a musician, he was a writer. I feel like he was really multi-talented in the art world. My dad, he's Navajo. His name is Robert Nakaidene. And then my mom is Lottie Archuleta. She's from Okewinge and Taos Pueblo. So they were artists. So my mom's a painter, beadwork artist, and just growing up, that's what I saw. Those are the influences, plus all their artist friends throughout Indian country when we're, I seen the art world growing up. And then, so I got lots of relatives, lots of family friends that are artists. So just having that influence was something that I guess I had that insight to. In 2014, I entered into a contemporary clothing contest for Santa Fe Indian Market, and that's where it kind of all got started. I had seen it starting to come through other local designers here in the Pueblo, but I seen it growing up too with the women that were major influences too to what I was seeing as a kid growing up, without even taking into sight like what they were actually doing, like not understanding it, like Joyce Ortiz, she's from here, Okewinge, my neighbor, she did like embroidery, but with contemporary style, like a tight-fitting skirt and a vest, with the embroidery. And I think I wore that for my graduation because that was something that my mom had available at the time. So that was like a contemporary look to our Monta styles. And then, of course, like Pauline Antone, our neighbor, they did embroidery. And then her daughter next door, Miss Johnson too, they all did embroidery. So it was just something that I had taken notice of, but I never did it, I never tried it. Yeah, in 2022, I was accepted into a fashion show through a producer out of Canada. And it was for Indigenous fashion, but it was a fashion show during Paris Fashion Week for fall of 2022. And then at the same time, I was also invited to do a show in Milan, Italy for Milan Fashion Week. So it was kind of like this big lump sum of a journey, of my red journey, right? So, and in that one, I wanted to bring not just myself, but then also people that kind of helped me get along to where I'm at now, and that included my models. So, and I wanted them to be Pueblo models because, we're from the Pueblo. We got to also show who we are, and it was going to be our journey together from the Pueblo to Paris is kind of what we called it, because we were all from, it wasn't necessarily the models. I didn't have models from here, but from other Pueblos representing us to go out there together. Black on black is what I came from too, because here in northern New Mexico, a lot of the pottery in the neighboring Pueblos is black on black or red on red in our village here. And so it was kind of a play on that black on black pottery from the Maria Martinez, family. And then one of their descendants had asked me to make I had created this Pueblo wrap jacket, and they had asked me to make a wrap for them, and that's how it kind of elevated. So it was coming, and slowly that Fendi Tewa idea, and then it just, when it finally came through, it was pretty exciting. And I got to present it in Milan, Italy, and seeing it on Italian fashion models was a whole new like light into like what I'm creating. It isn't just for Native people, it really shined through with the non-natives wearing it too. Like they made it just as elegant as it did and beautiful as it was in when our native fashion models were wearing the same clothing. So it was really like, sharing that idea and my identity with them, teaching them that this is, native created. This is where my creative space, my house of fashion is my creative space. And I'm not bothering anybody. The lights, aren't on in my kitchen anymore, where I used to sew and disturbing everybody else's sleep. So, because I used to stay up late working on a lot of my stuff. So this past summer, I created the first Feast Day Best fashion show. And so the Feast Day Best fashion show is like during all our feast days when we visit each other, but in our village or I think anywhere else, we always have to dress really like spectacular because we're going to somebody else's village or they're coming to ours, or it's our people that are out there, we're gonna dress nice, so we always gotta put and with me and my daughter would always joke about that, like put your Feast Day Best clothes on, instead of, we would say things like that. And then so that's where it evolved from the Feast Day Best Fashion Show, and it was really to bring in our local designers because I've also utilized this space as a classroom to teach other community tribal members and nearby Pueblo tribal members how to make our clothing. My creations do have a story, just like in anything, there's always an immersion story of how it got started and what it's about. I also bring in a lot of like science and creations of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is what I called it's Fendi 2 dress. The original design is currently at the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Massachusetts, but it's a similar dress to this. But this is a contemporary take on our Pueblo manta style. So if you look at this, you'll see the manta. This is traditional, like how the manta would look without the sleeve. And then a lot of our dresses have embroidery on the bottom, but I used the applique stitch and then added the gold to highlight the flowers. So I made instead of the embroidery down here as a border and on the top, then I just enhanced it by bringing it out and then using the sequins to make those designs pop. And then I use gold because in our village here, it's a summer color, and that's kind of, that's the clan I come from, is the summer side. This during the time I had to be in quarantine because my mom had caught COVID, and then I had to just quarantine myself. So I call this my COVID couture, and it's the flowers and the stars dress. And when you look at it, everybody's in awe with it, but I'll tell you, it has COVID. And so when you tell people that, they'll, whew. But here's the strands, right? COVID strands. And then it shows the positive sign, right? Because we were in fear of being in the positive sign. But then this is also the stars. So how do they say it? That beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So you saw beauty, and that's how we looked at people too. We're all beautiful as human beings, but when we had COVID, everybody was afraid of each other. So it's trying to bring back that idea that, we'll get through this, our prayers are sent. And so those are all, Sage Mountainflower, those are all my stars, and all my prayers going into the stars, at night and thinking about that. And then of course, like new growth, we're gonna change, everything's gonna change, and we're gonna continue to grow. So that's just showing that. And again, the Kiva Steps of Life is still there because we're still going to reach those stages in our life and moving into that. So this is I used cut glass beads for this, the majority, some brass studs, and then used a lazy stitch, and then also a double stitch beadwork. So I used different techniques to create this one. Yeah, it's traveled. It went to Paris, it went to Milan, Italy as well. So it's made its travels around Indian country as well.